This is Vic Patel with Craft Express.
My name is Ashley from Artistry.
It's Gavin, founder, creator of Seps.io, and you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast,
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the wild.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, February 27th, 2026. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from our Success Group and Super Gamut. And this week, Terry, we are going to be joined by Eric Granata from Promo Pilot, and he's going to be talking about automation and AI. Some of you might remember Eric from a really cool event we got to do and that he was a big part of. What was it called? Automate and Elevate, I believe was the name of it. And we love talking to Eric. And so we're going to try to learn some tips to save time and scale smarter and stay competitive. So looking forward to talking to Eric without an H here in just a moment. So.
Yeah, it is the Two Regular Guys year of automation and AI, isn't it?
I think it is.
All right, make sure you stick around till the end for the secret sauce. I'm going to be bringing the sauce today. DTF on a DTG printer for little cost. So it's a way to put your toe in the water of DTF printing in-house.
Awesome. I can't wait. I'm going to have to go track down a notepad while Cassie's doing the news here. But I'm live from Las Vegas, Nevada here at the APA show. So that's why I look and sound a little different today. Anyhow, Terry, we've got Cassie waiting for the news. Some cool announcements coming up and some interesting stuff happening. So are you ready to bring Cassie in?
Absolutely. Let's hear the news from Cassie.
Well, yes, indeed. Lots of interesting things happening in the industry as per usual. I feel like there's just always something. So let's get into it. First headline for everybody this morning: Heat Transfer Warehouse announces closure. So Fargo, North Dakota-based Heat Transfer Warehouse announces it will close after more than 15 years in business, serving as a one-stop shop for heat transfer materials and printing equipment. In an announcement on its website, the company writes, quote, "After more than 15 years in business, we want to let you know that Heat Transfer Warehouse will be winding down operations. We are incredibly grateful for your support, loyalty, and partnership over the past 15 years. It has truly meant a great deal to us. Thank you again for being part of our journey," unquote. So at the time that we put together this news release, the company was unavailable for comment, but of course, follow along at apparelist.com for any updates that we might get. Obviously, this is a pretty big headline in the industry. Second headline I have for everybody, and of course, I'm very excited about this one personally. Sustainable Merch Summit 2026 returns on Earth Day. The Sustainable Merch Summit returns on April 22nd, 2026 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, building on a 2025 debut that welcomed more than 400 professionals across promo, print, and apparel. The virtual summit is co-hosted by the Branded Merch Network, us at Apparelist, our partners ASI, and of course our favorite Two Regular Guys. As supply chains continue to overlap, sustainability is no longer confined to one category. What happens in apparel affects promo and vice versa, so responsibility is shared. The 2026 summit reflects that convergence with practical sessions designed for people making daily production and sourcing decisions. So of course, I'm just so elated about this event and love the success. I had to wear my Hug a Tree shirt today to further the cause. So again, keep an eye on apparelist.com and all of those channels for more information to come, including speaker announcements and registration. Finally, for all of you regulators this morning, registration now open for FlyOverCon 2026. So FlyOverCon 2026 is a hands-on conference for screen printers and decorators taking place April 17th and 18th at P&M Apparel in Polk City, Iowa. Hosted inside a working production facility, FlyOverCon focuses on practical, real-world education delivered by professionals actively running shops. It emphasizes collaboration, implementable takeaways, and open conversation over sales-driven presentations. So this will be the second year PNM is hosting the event. Attendees will experience live demonstration, production workflows, and sessions covering topics such as sales strategy, web stores, DTF accuracy, and plenty more. If you don't know Megan Griffith and Ryan Toney, those are the co-owners. Megan is actually an Apparelist Advisory Board member, and they just do a lot to help support the industry. So definitely worth checking out. Guys, that's all I have for you this morning. Back to you.
All you had was a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of news there. I got to tell you, FlyOverCon, I love it just for the name.
You do like a good event name. I think
I do indeed. I do. But Aaron, the Sustainable Merch Summit, I did have lunch yesterday with Jay Bassell, and he is going to be on our show April 10th to talk about it. And he, Cassie, if you're still there, he's going to invite you to come along, and Teresa Hagel as well on April 10th here on Two Regular Guys. So we're looking forward to that as well. Yeah, definitely. And it was great to be part of that last year, as Cassie mentioned, 400 people. That was just incredible, right? I mean, it's important, right? It's important stuff. And so people are showing up, and, obviously we're going to have some fun as well. But, I think meaningful conversations are happening at the same time. And that's the key. Aaron, you and I love a good panel conversation, so it's kind of a geek heaven there, and for that event. Yes, I do. I got to moderate one here in Las Vegas, actually 2 days ago it was, and had a blast. I mean, an hour and a half of asking questions, and it was a blast. Love it. All right. Well, Terry, shall we dive into the dad joke? Well, Cassie's still. Whenever Cassie's here, I always feel like we have to step it up. So. Indeed. Hey, Aaron, I just read a very long article on Japanese sword fighting. Wow, it sounds long. Do I have to read the whole thing? No, Aaron, allow me to summarize it for you. Oh, my. Listeners, samurai or summarize. Wow. Not only was that like a man, I wish we could somehow show everybody's faces when we do this. Yes. I groaned out loud this morning, Terry, when I read that one. So. Anyway, before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have regulators participate in these show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And we would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast. Wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions for our guest. Absolutely. Let's definitely get that going, right? We do want to make this a conversation. Real quick, Terry, before we grab Eric and bring him in here, I do want to say good morning to some folks that were tuned in and checking in earlier. So Rena Cooper, who I've been able to see in person here in Las Vegas, was tuning in from Las Vegas a little bit earlier there. Yep, good morning from Vegas. And then we have Doug
checking in as well from sunny Los Angeles. And Ramona McKee said she got here just in time for the dad joke. So,
Was that a good thing or a bad thing?
yeah, exactly. And then Jeremy Picker, happy Friday, y'all. And it's so awesome to have him tuned in here today as well. So
Awesome.
All right. Well, let's bring our guest in, Terry, if you're ready.
Yep, absolutely.
Hello.
Welcome, Eric.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Eric. Good to see you again. Welcome to the show. But hey, we skip on those canned fancy bios that people send out. So right out of the gate, give us a little more about you and your journey in the industry.
Okay. I think my journey starts in third grade. I was really big into denim jackets and puff paint and the Ninja Turtles. And so I think my first decorated apparel was this really hideous denim jacket that I'd like puff painted Leonardo and Raphael, et cetera, onto. Fast forward to college, I initially was on a different career trajectory, but to make some side money, I schlepped shirts on Cafe Press, which is kind of funny considering that, now I'm like officially in the industry. I started in the industry at a promo distributorship in Oklahoma called Robin, and I was their e-commerce director, which was pretty fun because as like the resident geek, I just naturally ended up helping with other general technology stuff, getting into other departments, that sort of thing. After some years, served as CTO at a distributorship called Brand Fuel. And I'll say during my time on the distributor side, it became very apparent that there was a lot of manual work behind a lot of the tasks that we did. So, we weren't really ever limited by sales. We had great sales teams, but we were limited on the operations side. And so technology kind of became a lever for less chaos, more margin, better client experiences. And that is why I founded Promo Pilot, which really just wants to help distributors use the tools they already have better. And I'm also a Zapier Gold Solution Partner.
Awesome.
That's the story so far.
That's awesome.
I love it. When
Eric,
you mentioned Cafe Press, Aaron, I don't you might remember this many years ago at US Screen. 3 young guys were sitting at my desk, which was next over from your desk, and they said, "We've got this great idea for a T-shirt business," and it became Cafe Press.
It became Cafe Press. Absolutely, that's very cool.
I had I at the time I worked at Starbucks, so in college I was at Starbucks, and Cafe Press came out with an API so that you could splash images across their entire catalog. And back in the day at Starbucks, we would use a grease pencil to do the shorthand markup for what the drink that the customer is. And using the Cafe Press API, I was able to make a website where you could say, my favorite drink at Starbucks is X, Y, or Z.
I love it.
And it would actually generate the cup markings and put it on a tumbler or a t-shirt or whatever. It was a lot of fun until they closed down the API, which at that point I was looking for alternatives, and I stumbled upon a company called Printfection, which ended up, you guys know Printfection?
I've heard the name.
They eventually got bought by Custom Ink, but it's funny, like Casey, who founded Printfection, and I met years later, 12 years later, and I was able to show him the email that I got from his platform when I signed up.
Cool.
That's cool.
That's super cool. Oh,
There's a lot of full circle in this industry. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Eric, how long has Promo Pilot been around?
This is our second year.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, cool. All right. Well, we know you are loaded with great information. And so we're going to try to squeeze as much out of you as we can here. This is exciting stuff because this is real, right? This is real stuff that people are dealing with. You've created a business around it. So for decorators, for promo distributors, we hear the word automation, and I don't know, there's sometimes this kind of feeling of it's really complicated. How would you kind of define automation in that simple kind of real world way for our industry?
I would define it as essentially software doing the repetitive tasks that humans shouldn't be doing. Most of the time, that looks like moving data between systems without having to like retype something in. Uh, some of you might be familiar with a service called If This Then That, which was kind of like a consumer automation platform. And it's really as easy as, if this happens, then do that. Uh, so for example, maybe an order comes in and you need to notify production in a Slack channel, maybe draft an invoice, update a record in the CRM. Those are the types of automations that I see a lot of distributors building. You mentioned that it's technical and complicated. It can be complicated because the processes can be complicated. But one of the reasons I'm so like hot on Zapier is because it is a very accessible platform. You don't have to know how to code anything. You really just need to know how to describe your process and have a good understanding of what information you want to move where. Uh, there's a distributor that I've worked with who somebody in their warehouse essentially was like, hey, can you show me how this all works and kind of ride shotgun with me as I get started automating some stuff. And after 12 weeks, this guy was making API calls and he worked in the warehouse. He's not a developer. So a lot of people can do it. It's very accessible. And that's like the most important thing I hope that I can communicate with Promo Pilot is that there are tools out there that do not require you to wear black rimmed glasses and know how to sling code. Like you guys can do this.
We can do that.
I'll
Okay,
show
so
you. I'm going to show
even the two
you.
regular guys could do it. All right, that makes sense.
Yes.
And Jeremy Picker actually said, Zapier's game changer. The AI integration is a game changer, right? So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's not complicated. All right, Terry, it's not complicated. We can do this, so we can keep going.
I love it. Well, so you talk about doing repetitive tasks, things like that. So where are apparel decorators, promo shops bleeding the most time today without even realizing it?
I think they're doing things like quote chasing or chasing approvals, manually sending things like status updates. I see a lot of spreadsheet nonsense happening and constant inbox triage. There's any number of processes in there that could be automated.
Okay.
You did hurt my feelings a little bit. I do love spreadsheets.
You know what? I think Excel is like the original no code, low code automation platform. You can do a lot of cool stuff in Excel.
100%, 100%. And when we talk about people not realizing where they're losing time, I've talked about on this show multiple times. Back when I was running a big production shop, we did a time study and figured out I spent 60% of my time scheduling production, and so
Manually.
so basically, I hired a part-time person. That's all she did was schedule. I gave her my formula and my system, and it just freed up all my time. And I had no idea. I was shocked when I saw how much time I spent doing it. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, and Eric, that's an automatable process at this point, right? You see that kind of like scheduling as being something that can be automated.
Yeah, it's you would think about it like this. I have a new job come in and I need to go get my current schedule. And maybe this would be a good time for an AI to kind of review and look for open spots. And then you would automate picking a good time and putting it on the schedule, right? I'm sure there's plenty of nuance that I've left out, but in a nutshell, that might be how you would approach that.
No, that's awesome. And I love that you shared, kind of like some of the things that we're bleeding time on. And I think, at least in my experience talking with decorators and promo folks, that those things that you mentioned, right? The automated or not the non-automated status updates and just kind of happen because of, the day-to-day operation. They're just working in the business. And, I think people maybe take complicated and mix up that idea because it's not necessarily complicated. It just requires you to step back for a moment and like you said, look at the overall here's where we start, and if this happens, then that, like you shared. So, um, maybe I'm asking an extra question here, Terry, but I guess, yeah, talk to us a little bit about that first before I get to my next question. Like, what is kind of the human side of this process to start implementing more automation?
Uh, so is the question like where do the humans stay involved?
Well, like, yeah, what's a starting point, right? Yeah, I know I went all over the place there, but the question, Eric, is really, if I want to, I'm doing this manual status updates and stuff like that, what would be the first place for me to start to think about automating that?
So for that particular process, I would suggest, finding your automation platform of choice, whether it's Zapier, Make, N8N, and first look to see if the applications that you're working within are supported on those platforms. And if they are, they'll show you like what triggers you can trigger an automation off of and what
Okay.
actions can be taken in those applications. And so in a case where, maybe we just want to do like an automated order acknowledgement, uh, the the order may come from, let's say, Printavo, right?
Mhm.
And you need to send a notification to somebody else. You're going to look, okay, does Zapier have a Printavo integration? Yes, they do. Do they have a Gmail integration or a Slack integration? Of course, they do.
Yeah,
And so that right there gives you the tools you need to build that automation.
that's awesome. Okay, awesome. Thank you for helping break that down a little bit. So, okay, well, let's try another automation. Let's say, people are like, yes, I need more of this in my business. What's a simple automation they could set up immediately that might save them time or kind of reduce errors?
Yeah, I've been really surprised at how often I get asked to automate tracking emails. So this is like, send my customer their tracking number when their order ships.
Okay.
I'm assuming that a lot of e-commerce platforms handle that already, but maybe you have other channels that don't support that. So I find myself working on that one quite a bit. I think when you're looking for opportunities to automate, there's a acronym that you can keep in mind, and that acronym is FAR. Is this a frequent process? Is it an annoying process? Meaning, is it like timely and I have to drop everything and rush to it? And then is it repetitive? And if all of those qualifications are met, and assuming you have the right automation tools and integration capabilities, put those on the list. Start with the easiest one up top, get it out of the way, incrementally free up some time for yourself, and work on the more complex ones.
Oh, amazing. Love that. Thank you for that acronym.
Golden nuggets here.
Yeah.
So Eric, a lot of shops are juggling their email, QuickBooks. You kind of touched on this already. Shopify, CRM tools, art approvals. There's so many different things. How does automation actually connect all these systems together?
Yeah. So you can think of automation tools like Zapier as the glue that helps these things communicate with each other. So, for example, an event might happen in Shopify, and you want to take some sort of action in QuickBooks, online edition, hopefully, maybe your CRM, maybe your production board. Instead of copying information, you're letting that Zapier or glue level kind of pass the information automatically, and from that you can create continuous workflows instead of these like siloed applications. Oh, this app doesn't talk to this app. What a tool like Zapier does is break those silos down.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because, I see it, and I think sometimes we don't think of like all the parts and pieces together. Like, I currently run a Zapier event that, when I get an email, I can move it to a certain folder, and that email will then, be processed by AI to help with some reply. But I also have connected in my CRM so it can link and find out any other information. So it makes it more personal, puts more data into the AI. So it doesn't have to just be one tool with one tool, right? Like, do you see a lot more of that too?
You can get very complicated with these things. Yeah, I do see a lot of zaps. If you want a visual for what like an automation looks like, it's really the process map for the process. So some boxes and some arrows, and you can get very complex with these. Introducing AI when it makes sense, introducing any number of applications when it makes sense.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love Zapier. So such a great tool. All right. Well, Eric, I brought up a little bit of AI already, but where are you seeing AI fit into decorators and promo distributors workflows? What's showing up for you as you starting to see more AI integration?
Yeah, I think artificial intelligence fits really well with within workflows that require some sort of like insight or judgment call. Jeremy mentioned it a moment ago that Zapier has some pretty cool AI tools, and what I see a lot of folks building is not this like fully autonomous agent that just does everything you can think of, but kind of folding in AI when it makes sense. So in your case, you receive an email, that's your trigger, right? And then maybe you have AI come in, you tag them in to create a draft response, right?
Mhm.
But then the rest of your workflow might look like a traditional automation. After the response is drafted, make some notes in my CRM, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think AI is obviously really good at like drafting content, rewriting product descriptions. I see distributors using stuff like Nano Banana to do mockups, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
In the proofing stage, maybe you want to finesse your approval instructions, right? And it's really easy to just let an AI kind of roll with it. Post production, follow up emails. A popular one is a follow up email for gauging customer satisfaction. And then not only collecting that feedback from the customer, but also leveraging AI to like surface an alert if the sentiment on that feedback was negative or mixed. Really, any time that you're dealing with language or pattern recognition, AI is great for that. Automation, on the other hand, you can think of as really just concerned with how the data moves in between those applications.
Got it. That's a great explanation. Thank you, Eric.
Well, so when we're preparing for this show, you mentioned something called AI orchestration. So what's the difference between basic automation and what you call AI orchestration? And should this be important to a small shop?
Yeah. So basic automation, like I said, is like fixed rules. When this happens, do these other things.
Mm-hmm.
AI orchestration is really the coordination layer that automatically is selecting, sequencing, and connecting multiple AI tools or agents so that they work together in that workflow. So back to a Zapier example. They've got AI steps, which you can just loop into a traditional workflow, but you can also create agents that do very specific tasks that you've created knowledge for, you've uploaded knowledge to it or given them access to knowledge and very specific instructions. And so the orchestration part is getting your agent tagged in when it makes sense, using maybe another AI tool when that makes sense.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Like here's an example I could give you. So back when I was on the distributor side, we did a lot of discovery calls with folks who wanted company store solutions. But we had maybe in our stable 3 or 4 different company store platforms that we would use. And so what you could do is say, all right, I just ended a discovery call. I've got the transcription. Let my AI agent review that. And that agent knows what platforms I have at my disposal and where their strengths are, what features they have. And basically by the time the call has ended, I have in my inbox a little email from this agent that's like, all right, this is what was important to the client. Because this was important to the client, you might want to look at, X platform for this or Y platform for this.
Awesome. Okay. Yes. I mean, It's all coming together for me, Terry. So hopefully the
Yeah.
listeners are having that same sensation. But speaking of
Exactly.
the listeners, Terry, regulators out there, you guys, if you have questions for Eric, please go ahead and get them in the comments if you're listening live. And we'd love to put those in front of Eric here. But I
As
guess
as
another,
if I could,
yeah,
why is this important? I feel I am convinced that somebody right now, and maybe they've already done it, is building the first solo $10 million distributor. And it's because that they've started with an ops first mindset. They've built out their technology stack with automation and AI in mind. I had a really interesting conversation with Rick from Fast Editor, who was at the AI Elevate event, and he was telling me that when the distributors he knows over in Europe kind of have this like operations mindset very early, where over here, we typically start with sales. Like if the line needs to go up, then I get more salespeople. Where it's a little bit different on the other side of the pond. I think that we'll eventually begin to see that kind of mentality come here as well.
interesting. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's and just changing that mindset. It will create that. I love that. Okay. All right. So Eric, we get to work with a lot of pretty, newer shops, smaller shops, some, we definitely have the range here, but, I've talked to folks out there in the world when we're out at trade shows and stuff. And, there's this sense of like, I'm not technical, right? They might be creative, but the technical stuff just seems to get them stuck in their tracks. And, there's this fear that if we get involved in, automation, AI, all this stuff, that it's going to break a system or it's going to overcomplicate it and I won't be able to fix it. Right. And so what would you say to somebody that has those kinds of concerns? Is there a way that they can safely get started with this?
Yeah, first I would tell them I have an art degree, and my first career was in creative communications, and if I can do it, they can do it. And
Okay.
and
Yeah.
building these workflows really feels like a creative process. It scratches the same part of my brain as if I were pushing pixels or editing a video. So they can do it. What I would tell them to do is to explore, Zapier or others. I also like Zapier because there's a lot of like industry tools we're familiar with that are already supported. But explore that. You can start an account for free. You don't have to pay for anything until you switch something on. But start with a small workflow first. We don't have to boil the ocean from day one. And I would also tell them you probably don't need to like rebuild your tech stack. Um, the thing about automation is it helps you get maximum value from the tools that you already have, which just feels great because nobody wants to change software. But like I said earlier, find those FAR processes, the frequent, annoying, and repetitive ones. Keep a little scratch pad. And when you're in the midst of working on one of those, just write it down. And then when you have a few minutes to tinker with something like Zapier, log in and start building it. Once you have a small process done, that maybe saves you 15 minutes a week, right? Well, that's 15 minutes you can spend on learning the process and learning the tools some more so that you can iterate on those successes. And I think you should think about progress and not necessarily perfection. In terms of doing it safely, first of all, if you're using AI, keep a human in the loop. And all that means is, like in your case, you're drafting an email. You're not just letting the AI send an email, right?
Yep.
That way you have the opportunity to look it over. When it comes to processes that deal with money, like invoice vouching, maybe don't do that one first because a mistake could be expensive.
Yeah.
And then just keep in mind, if you are connecting all of these apps together and you're doing something like sharing an automation tool account, that might not be the safest thing because anybody who has access to that account is going to have access to the tools that you're building with.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Great information.
Well, I love the fact that you pointed out that you started out from the art end, because so many people in this industry are exactly in that position. So I think that's a good point of reference. But at the top of the show, I was talking about, this is two regular guys. This is the year of AI. This is the year of automation. What's overhyped right now? I mean, all you hear about is AI. So what's overhyped right now in our space, and what is genuinely useful and practical for somebody that's a garment or a product decorator?
Yeah. Overhyped, like building a super agent that's going to run your entire business. It's not. Fully autonomous agents replacing your staff. I don't think it should do that. One way we should think about AI is how we can use it to elevate the more human part of what we do, especially in this industry. It's so like relationship based. So
Right.
let's not use AI to replace the relationship. Let's use AI and automation to give us more time to work on those relationships or develop new ones. I'll tell you a specific tool that I can't stop hearing about that I think might be a little overhyped is OpenClaw. Have you guys heard about OpenClaw?
No.
I have not.
All right. So OpenClaw runs on your machine, and it's essentially an agent that can take real valuable action on your behalf on your local computer, and then with your web apps and that sort of thing. It is not overhyped in the sense that it is not cool. It is extremely cool, and it went super viral over the last month or so, and rightfully, I think what that points to is that there's a real desire for agentic AI to be genuinely helpful. But it's such a security nightmare. 1Password, the password vault company, actually sent an email to all of their employees that said, if you installed OpenClaw on your machine, you need to turn it off and then contact our security operations center, because we're considering that as a breach. It's very exciting, but some folks just gave it too much power, and as a result, they wake up the next morning, files are deleted, or they've blown through all of their AI tokens. So that's the overhyped one, OpenClaw.
Gotcha.
Experiment if you want to. Be very careful.
Gotcha. All right.
Awesome. Yeah, that's no, I hadn't heard of that one, so that's I want to try it out, but yes, it sounds like it can be very, very dangerous. Not dangerous, but yeah, I mean, I guess it could. All right. Well, Eric, I guess I think decorators probably have more data than they realize. So what kinds of things can they be using their data for? I'm thinking like order history and client buying patterns, things like that. You just mentioned that our industry is so relationship driven. How can we use that data to improve our relationships?
This is so, since we're talking about hype, this is where I get really hyped about AI. You guys remember 10 years ago, everybody was talking about big data?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think those of us who were yeah, we do have a lot of data. Let's get that data into a Tableau or a Power BI and figure out how to make use of it. I think those of us who did that 10 years ago are in a really good place right now, because AI is excellent at making sense of that data, revealing things like reorder timing patterns or identifying dormant clients. There's so much data that we almost needed an AI assistant from the beginning to help us make sense of it. I would be shocked if more than 50% of your audience had a BI tool at their business. Of the businesses I talk to, it's the number one thing missing from the tech stack. But now is a great time to look into those, specifically because AI is going to turn that reporting into strategic conversations.
Got it.
That
And
makes sense.
just just for those that I'm assuming, Eric, BI is business intelligence.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Business intelligence. It's Tableau, Looker Studio, Power BI, Zoho Analytics, applications like that. What they do is they essentially connect, kind of like a Zapier would. They connect to your different applications, but they're only just getting data out of those and into one place so that you can create things like dashboards and custom reports. I've heard distributors tell me who've adopted this like data minded model that they win RFPs when they show their dashboards.
Yeah. 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 And, I think, I love that you're tying all that together, right? We can take data, understand, build better relationships. Like you said, give customers information that allows them to win those RFPs, like you mentioned. So, yeah, I think, go ahead, Eric.
Sorry if I could, so one thing that we've always as distributors been concerned with is, are the products we're selling actually moving the needle for anybody? And I think there's an opportunity with the data to kind of prove the efficacy of the medium that we work in as well. And like a savvy marketing buyer wants to know how effective, are these t-shirts or these mugs that I'm buying, right? And if there's any way we can provide them with that sort of data, I think we should try to do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's, we have a lot of new businesses that listen to our show. Let's say you woke up this morning and you said, you know what, I think I'd like to print t-shirts, or I'd like to decorate promotional products. Eric, knowing what you know about automation and AI, what would you build into the foundation of that business from day one?
So the first thing I would do is probably select some software. And when I'm looking for new software to solve a problem, there's two things that I'm looking for. One, can I get that data out in an easy way, whether that's reporting or making an API call if I have to, but I realize most people won't make an API call. The other thing I look at is to make sure that there is a Zapier integration or a Make integration, because even if I don't have a use case for it now, someday I'll be like, oh shoot, I really wish I could automate this process between this one app I got and this other app I got. Well, good news, I only buy apps that have this integration capability, so I have a path forward, right?
Yeah,
I think I would automate order flow early. I kind of like my friend in Europe. I would be very operations minded. I would definitely create dashboards for my clients, and I would treat the technology as like the core infrastructure, not an add-on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know I said like tech stack and none of this is hard, right? It's just knowing what to look for when selecting software. Sometimes I'm worried I say like nouns and verbs that are confusing, but it's okay. Like we can all do this.
Yeah.
I have an art degree. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the takeaway
today. Yeah. No, I think you've been really clear, right? Like, you're telling us what the, like you said, some of the higher level stuff, but at its core, you basically simply said, think about it long term. Think about how's this gonna, like you said, you might not have a use case for it today, but there's a pretty good likely you will. And so instead of, a year from now when you have that use case going, crap, I have to install a new software, you just kind of flip the switch on the automation aspect of it instead. So
it's a great time to be alive starting a business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Promo Pilot is essentially a 1.5 person company. And, I eat my own dog food by trying to automate as much as I can on my side of the equation. And I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without it.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's the perfect lead in there, Eric. We haven't had a chance to really talk much about Promo Pilot yet. So give us the rundown. What is Promo Pilot all about? And, Yeah, let's start there.
Okay. Promo Pilot is really about enablement. I'm really passionate about enabling teams and individuals and not replacing them. So I mentioned earlier my buddy in the warehouse who, over time got really proficient at automating processes for himself. And nothing fills me up more than being involved in helping somebody skill up that way. And so the way Promo Pilot does that is, we'll do coaching if you have somebody at your team who you think might have an aptitude for this or a desire to learn how to use automation and AI orchestration. Um, we'll ride shotgun with them and basically show them how to do it. If you don't want to do that or you don't have time for that, then I'll put hands on keys and build something out for you. So we do kind of a mix of consulting and service. We also have a community that is free for industry technologists and operators to just gather and share wins, talk about the new shiny object and whether or not it's worth our time. So I really enjoy meeting folks on the ops side of the business and hearing about their struggles, seeing if there's a way to help them out or help them help themselves.
Love it. Love it. All right. So where can people learn more about all this and connect with you? What's the best way to go about that?
Yep. The website is promopilot.io. And if you want to catch me on LinkedIn, I am there and I think I'm pretty active on it.
Cool.
But I'm very accessible and I can't wait to talk to you.
Awesome.
I told somebody asked me, why don't you do this like automation consultancy thing for other verticals? And I was like, because promo people are my people. Like, I respect the hustle. I understand it's a grind. The only reason I ever figured any of this stuff out is because I was desperate enough to enjoy work again that I had to crack a manual and figure it out. So if I can share that with others, I'm really happy to.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, make sure you guys go check that out, promopilot.io. And sounds like that community is also a great place to jump in as well, potentially. So, awesome. All right. Well, Eric, thank you so much for your time today. This has been a great conversation. We learned a lot and plenty of wonderful golden nuggets. So we will talk to you again soon.
Aaron, Terry, thank you so much.
All right. Great seeing you. Fantastic.
Yeah, really good stuff. And I love how he kind of his take on it, right? Like, we can do it. I felt this kind of like calming presence about. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities, but you don't have to, get it perfect. I actually
you don't have to boil the ocean.
You don't have to boil the ocean all at once. That was awesome, and I love the great analogies like that.
Right.
And then. I actually just wrote an article for Graphics Pro that'll come out in April about kind of this idea of AI. And the title of it's, AI is not going to save your business, but it's going to save you time.
Love it.
And so.
And, I was thinking about while Eric was talking that, when people say, but, I have a relationship business. Well, this, and Eric mentioned this just gives you the opportunity to build those relationships. That gives you the time to actually talk to your customers and people you work with. So
exactly. Enhances the relationships. Yeah, for sure. So great stuff. We can talk about this, and we probably will all year, the year of automation and AI, right?
Exactly.
So Terry, what is coming up for you in Terry's big book of travels out there?
Yeah. My complete screen printing business course, I'm going to be at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, March 21st and 22nd. You can sign up for that class at atlasscreensupply.com. Equipment Zone, I won't be there, but Equipment Zone's going to be at the Atlantic City Show, Impressions Expo, March 26th through 28th. They're going to have the new Epson G9070, first time exhibited on the East Coast. So that's exciting. And watch for all of my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
So normally I have Small Business Saturday tomorrow, but I'm going to take a little short, just 1 week break. I promise. It's just a quick break. I am traveling, as you can tell, and got a family weekend planned. So I'm actually
Very nice.
tonight going from Las Vegas to Phoenix, and we'll spend the weekend with my family. So just going to take a little breather, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't head over to liveosg.com. That'll take you right to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you're subscribed there, and you can catch up on past Small Business Saturday episodes. Lots of great mindset and just business tips, right? Like I love that Eric mentioned earlier, right, that he was desperate enough to want to get back to enjoying what he was doing, right? And that's my whole mission too. I want to help people fall back in love with what they get to do.
Yep.
And
Yep. By the way, it's going to be in the low 90s all weekend here in Phoenix. So
I just packed my big jacket that I had with me into my suitcase going, man, this is a waste of suitcase space. So that's this tomorrow. The other events for me, DAX Dayton, Ohio. This is a new location for DAX, and we're very excited about it. April 24th and 25th. And I'm teaching 2 classes there, and I get to facilitate one more. So on the 24th of April from 10:30 to 11:45, I will be teaching the myth of everyone is my customer. And I just want to share a clear vision of who you serve and how to attract more of the right customers for lasting success. So we kind of dive into the idea of niching down, Terry, something that you and I love talking about. And then immediately following that class, we will then move on to my next class, which is called Bye Bye Burnout, and just sharing some ways to prevent burnout before it starts and create some sustainable habits that will keep your creativity and business thriving. And so those were very well received in Kansas City. So I can't wait to take those to Dayton, Ohio. And then the next morning, I get to facilitate a discussion with my good friends Rob Super and Sean Stewart from Super Gamut, and we're going to walk through DTF 101, and we get into all the details about what makes a DTF shop successful, not just the little parts and pieces, not just the box movers out there. The idea is what's your entire workflow, and how can you really understand what's going to make you successful in the long run. So everything from artwork to software to film, ink, application, the application at the other end, right? Once you have the DTF transfer, I don't think enough people are thinking about how to reduce waste, reprints, time, frustration, all that. So,
are you saying it's more than pushing the button?
It is. There's not just one magic button, Terry. Like Eric was talking about with automation, you got to look at the big picture a little bit, and then you can have a better system. So, all right. So if you head over to daxshow.com, you can register there and take advantage of the early bird pricing on all of that. Probably get into the show for free, and I think they've got early bird pricing on the seminars. Great seminar lineup there. And then as far as Eric Campbell is concerned, he will be providing the Take Up episode 243, and the conversation will be about how to handle art and objects for embroidery digitizing. In the episode, he's going to pursue a better understanding of art preparation, the methods and means by which we make art ready for the digitizing process, and the theory behind how they create embroidery objects in digitizing software, and why it differs so greatly from how we work when we produce assets for digital and print applications. So you can jump into that conversation at 2:30 Mountain Time or 4:30 Eastern Time. It's the same time. We just haven't gotten Eric to let go of Mountain Time yet, but he's not doing it. It's never happening, people.
Even with all that snow shoveling he's doing out there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, head over to Eric Campbell, EricCampbell.com, and you can click on the Take Up tab at the top to access all of that and all of the past episodes as well. And then Eric is actually returning to the Atlantic City Impressions Expo on March 25th through the 28th. And so you can expect a version of the Technique Toolkits, his recent, very well, highly regarded cap embroidery class, and more. So if you use the promo code SPEAK207, you will get 20% off a full conference pass. And Eric's got the link in the chat there, and we'll have it in the show notes as well. So I think I got everything there, Terry. Good stuff happening.
Wait, Eric is not in New Mexico?
Yeah. The secret's out, Eric. I'm sorry. We let the cat out of the bag. I don't know.
Eric's wife is doing, if I'm correct, Eric, residency in Eastern PA.
Yep.
For 3 years, I believe. I'm looking into the control booth window there.
Yeah.
3 years in Pennsylvania.
There you go. All right, Terry. Well, you promised the secret sauce at the beginning, and I found my notepad, so I'm ready to go if you are.
All right, let's do the secret sauce. All right, my name is Terry Combs, and my secret sauce today is DTF on a DTG printer for little cost. So maybe you're buying custom DTF transfers from one of the many DTF providers, or maybe thinking about bringing it in-house. If you're hesitant to take the plunge for a DTF printer and you already own a DTG printer, it's an easy process and inexpensive process to just give it a try. All you need to do is buy some supplies, and here's how it works. You'll need to buy either 14 by 16 or 16 by 20 DTF film sheets, depending on the largest platen size you own. You'll need to buy adhesive powder, a shallow tub from Target or someplace like that that is larger than your film size, and a flour scoop. So pretty inexpensive supply list. You want to keep the film in the bag it came in or in a Ziploc bag. The film coating can absorb moisture from the air, which will impact the quality of your print. We're going to start on the heat press, set at about 330 degrees. Close the heat press so the platen makes contact with the rubber mat for about 10 seconds. After opening the heat press, place a blank piece of film on the mat, coating side up, to remove any excess moisture from the film. Most, if not all, DTG printers today have a DTF option in the software. That option is going to flip the image, and it's going to print in reverse order, color, and then the white ink. Place the sheet of film on your printer platen. You can use a piece of painter's tape to hold it in place and print the image. We're back to the heat press now. We're going to close it again so the platen makes contact with the rubber mat for about 10 seconds again. Lay that printed film on the mat for about 20 seconds. This step will partially dry the ink, and it's going to remove any moisture from the unprinted area. So lay the printed film in the tub. You're going to pour the powder across the side that's closest to you. Then you're going to pick up that film and let the powder roll down the film and stick to all the wet ink. Back to the heat press. We're going to close it again for about 30 seconds. And once you open it, you're going to immediately put the film on the heated mat for 90 seconds to 2 minutes. If your heat press has a hover option, this can help hold the heat in while you're curing. So you want to bring that down and hover over it if you have that option. Not required. At this point, you're ready to apply the transfer to a garment. It's a few steps in this process, but it's also a great test to see if you want to bring the DTF process in-house. That is my secret sauce for today.
Great secret sauce, Terry. Yeah, that's very, very well put together too. I love how you gave us a step-by-step look at that. So
awesome.
I actually do print some manually on my DTG printer from time to time, and so I'm going to take my notes here and improve my process.
Lots of people do, and I know lots of decorators that's all they do with their DTG printers today is just to do transfers, but they don't do enough transfers to buy a machine, So it's a great tool to do both decoration methods. So
absolutely. Well, look at us. We are right on time today, and great
And
conversation.
you have someplace to be.
I do. I do need to get down to the trade show floor, but the team down there is all good. So if you happen to be in the Las Vegas area, though, I would appreciate if you stopped by and said hello. We are in booth 326 back there at the
And that's
APA
at the Horseshoe, correct?
It is at the Horseshoe, yeah. Which originally was the MGM and then was Bally's, and now it's the Horseshoe. So I was like, I've been here before. Hold on.
When I heard Horseshoe, I thought, I don't know where that is.
Well, it I don't know if there is still one downtown, but it was a downtown hotel for a long time.
Oh, okay.
But anyhow, we can, yeah. So Terry, great show today. Thank you very much. And we want to thank Eric Granata of Promo Pilot. Be sure that you go check out their website at promopilot.io and reach out and connect with Eric. As you can tell, he is a wealth of knowledge and is looking to help people, just improve their business, right? He doesn't want you to get to that desperate stage that he did. And he's an awesome person to connect with. So
absolutely.
Do that right
we also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all he does, keeping us on the air, keeping us fairly on time as much as he controls that.
It's like herding cats for Eric, but yeah, thank you, Eric. Appreciate you. Next week, Terry, we've got our friend Teresa Hagel joining us, and not for the news this time. She'll be the news the week after that, but she's with ASI, and they're going to break down a recent study that they commissioned on the CO2 impact of promo products. And so there are some really interesting details coming out of that we're going to learn from Teresa and how we can kind of take all that data, take that information and implement it when it comes to sustainability in our industry. So maybe it's a two-part year, Terry, AI automation and sustainability.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
We did talk about that in our things we'd like for 2026 is to get back on the sustainability horse a little bit more. So,
and look at us
starting it off early here.
All right. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.